Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's tutorial, we are going to talk about one of my favorite products to use on blankets, and we're going to create this adorable blanket here that is perfect for the reader in your life. And we're going to be using Siser StripFlock Pro for this, but one of the cool things is I'm going to show you how to take a PNG and make it a two-color design using Cricut Design Space. So without further ado, let's get started, but be sure you're subscribed here. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. Over in Cricut Design Space, I'm going to click Upload Image, and I can either browse for it or just drag and drop my file. I'm going to drag this and drop it into my Cricut Design Space. Now, I'm going to show you something here that hopefully kind of makes sense. But because this is a PNG image, this is a single layer image. So the fact that this S is kind of overlapping his bone right here is going to cause us a little bit of a problem when it comes to wanting to do the contouring in this. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that we can deal with that because it does overlap. So I'm going to click Continue. And one way that we can combat the problem is to upload our design twice. And in the first upload, what we'll do is we'll remove that S from the design. So all I simply do is click the S here and it will disappear eventually. Once you've removed the S from here, we can just upload this as usual, click apply and continue, and we'll re-upload it with the S in just a second. But what I want to do is choose this single layer option here and click continue. Then I'm going to upload it right here and it'll upload it into my design space. Once it's in Design Space's canvas here, we can upload it a second time. This time I'm going to click upload and I'm going to upload the image again. So I'm just going to drag it and drop it again. And this time I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the skeleton. So what I'm going to do is click continue because I just want to make sure I keep the S. So honestly, I can get rid of whatever else I want to from the design by just clicking on it to remove it. So I want to make sure that I get rid of the bones next to the S, which I can just click on, and it's been a little bit slow, so just give it a minute to remove. Once it removes that, like I said, I can remove the other stuff if I want to, but I am going to come in with the eraser here, and I want to erase these like little tiny lines just so I don't have to deal with them in the contouring option. So I'm just using the little eraser tool to kind of go through and get rid of any of the little dots. And the little dot I was just trying to get rid of was dirt on my screen. So I can kind of make this really as big as I want because I can just get rid of anything I don't want. Now, like I said, Design Space has been a little bit slow today. Like you can see that my cursor is moving really slowly and weird. So I don't want to get too close to the S because I don't want to mess it up, but I will get rid of like this part here because we don't need it. Then I can click apply and continue again, and then we will just save it again as a single layer. It does not matter that it's black. Don't worry, we will come in and fix that in just a second. Once it loads here, and like I said, Design Space has been just awful today, we're going to go ahead and upload this section of our image, and it'll put it into our Design Space canvas as well once this loads. Now, once both images have loaded, like I said, they're going to load really, really big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to select all, and I'm just going to change the width on both to 10 inches. We can see them a little bit better. Now, we may need to resize some things, but it doesn't look like it, so I think we're good with that. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to contour a few things. So I probably shouldn't have gotten rid of those 2 stars, but that's okay. If we did it, it's not a big deal. So let's start with this guy first. What I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate him. And I only want to keep these 2 stars because I want to replace them over on the side. And you'll notice that I did miss some little spots over here on this one, but that's okay. So anyways, I want to keep the 2 stars that are right here. So what I'm going to do is contour him. And I'm going to go ahead and hide everything that is not those 2 stars. Once this loads, you can just click on each section over here that is not those 2 stars that we want to get rid of. So this is just kind of how I do it. And I just go through. Now, when you get to a star, you kind of want to pay attention to which one it's getting rid of. because like I said, I want to keep the two that are next to his face. So I want to keep that one, and I want to keep the other one that's right next to his face. So I'm just going to go through and click and remove. There's the other one I want to keep. So I can get rid of literally everything else that's on this list. Now it is a lot of stuff because it's a ton of teeny tiny pieces. So let's say, okay, I'm sick of clicking contour. There's so many little pieces. Once I've kind of gotten it down to a point where I'm pretty got just like a section here, I'm going to show you a quick little trick. So all I have left is like all this little gunk by our skeleton. Watch what we can do. We can take our shapes. I'm just going to open up whatever. A square is fine. I'm going to make this square kind of big so that it covers a bunch of that skeleton pieces. I'm going to select both items and I'm going to slice them. And that's going to get rid of all those little pieces. And we just have to do that twice. So it's not a big deal. And then we can just take another square and you can place it over like the teeth part, and you can go ahead and select both items. It's trying to select way too many items. There we go. And slice. So that's just a quick way if you want to get rid of like a bunch of little stuff. Now I'm going to turn these hot pink just so we know that we're keeping them. I'll just turn them red. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. I'm not sure what color we're going to do for our skeleton design anyways. Now, this part, I only want to keep the word smut and the stars, and I want to get rid of like all this gunk. So again, I could use slice, but I'll do contour really quick since this one should be relatively easy. So I want to get rid of the anything that isn't the word smut. So I'm just going to go through and get rid of these. I want to keep all of the stars. I want to get rid of that A, and I want to make sure I get rid of the center of the A, but I accidentally got rid of the T. So that's all I have to do for that one, but I've got these little itty bitty chunks, which again, if I don't feel like scrolling through and finding, I can just slice them, but I'm just gonna kind of click them and they'll go away. Now I've got the two stars that go next to him, plus this, which again, I'll turn red so you can get a better look at. And then in here, we just need to get rid of the MUT and the stars. So that's a pretty easy task to do because we can just click contour, and you don't have to click on the side. So if it's easier for you, you can actually click on the photo, like the picture here, to get rid of the parts. And when you're doing it with these bigger pieces, it's sometimes just easier to just click on them and get rid of them. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to leave him black. I'm going to move this over into the design. And then I'm going to grab these two stars and put them over here. And voila, we have our two colored design made from a PNG. Now, it doesn't typically take quite that long. Design Space was being just a little bit slow for me. So that's why it took a little bit longer than I would have liked. Now, I'm going to leave these kind of independently because I can line those up by myself. But everything else I'm going to leave kind of how they are. Now we can size this, and we're going to put this on a blanket, so you can really make it pretty big if you want to. I think I am going to go with, let's go with like about, we'll go pretty much as big as we can, I think. I think we'll go about as big as we can. Now what's kind of nice about this is I can go a little bit bigger because the black part can be up to 11.5. because that's a separate piece from the other parts. So you can see like this is 11.35. That's perfect. We'll leave it like that. That's a nice big design to go on a blanket. Now we're going to be using Siser StripFlock Pro for this, which is such a good option for blankets because it's super soft. Now before we do anything else, I'm going to save my design, especially since it's been being kind of a little bit weird. So I definitely don't want to click make it until I'm ready to actually do something. Once I've saved my project, that way if something happens, I don't have to go back and redo it. I'm going to hit make. Now for this project, because we're using HTV, we do need to mirror our designs, which I'm going to do by just clicking the mirror option on our mats. But Cricut Design Space also will automatically mirror for you when you choose a cut setting that is made for iron-on. Now, if you've never cut StripFlock before, I do recommend doing a test cut, and I'll link a video down below where I talk about test cutting for you, because test cuts are so important, especially with a material you haven't worked with before. Every machine is different. Every blade is different. We're gonna use a pink and a purple StripFlock because I just think that will be really cute. And StripFlock is a thicker, heavier HTV. You can see it doesn't move as much when I wiggle it. And it's really soft, so it's perfect for a blanket. And this is StripFlock Pro from Siser. What I'm gonna do is load this on to my mat. And you're gonna wanna use a pretty sticky mat, and I'm gonna show you why, because I pressed that down really well and you can see it's already coming up. So if that is the case for you, you may wanna use either a newer mat or a strong grip mat. I'm gonna try a newer mat and see if this one, she sounds pretty sticky, so we'll see if this one is gonna be sticky enough. Like I said, sometimes you just have to use a different mat, and that's something you have to know when you're working with HTV of any type, really any type of material, is that you might need a stickier mat, because some material is going to be a little different than others. Now I'm going to press out these little air bubbles that I got in here, and this one is sticky enough, so we're going to go with it. I'm going to go ahead and load this. You don't need a special blade. Your regular fine point blade will work fine with this product, and I'm cutting this on the everyday iron-on setting with more pressure, but we'll check our cut before we unload.
If I could run with you, and from what I have heard, you do the same thing too. I wanna say forever, we could be good together. Guess misery loves company. Better too late than never. You know we could do better, so take a chance.
Now before you unload this, because just in case the cut didn't cut correctly, what I want you to do is pick a spot that we're going to weed out. And it can be anything, like you could use a letter center, which is usually your easiest. And I'm gonna go ahead and try to weed that, and it weeded really nicely. So I am just gonna check like one more place, and the inside of his eyeball looks like a good one. So I'm just gonna make sure that that cut nicely. It sure did. So we're gonna go ahead and unload, and I just always check with a material that's a little bit thicker. Go ahead and unload your mat, and we're gonna take our vinyl off, and we're gonna load our second vinyl color, which is our pink. We'll get that one cut out, we'll weed it, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna press this to our blanket.
Paradise, all I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it, just say the word. Everywhere we go, it turns to paradise. All I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it, just say the word. Oh. Whatever we do it just for fun.
I have the blanket that I'm going to use, and the first thing I'm going to do is figure out which side is the correct side. So you can see I have some stitching on this side, and then this side is the flat side. So that's the one we're going to use, and we're going to use a corner, and I do like to find where the tag is, because I don't want to put it in the corner with the tag, and I think the tag's over here. Yep, tag is over here, so I'm going to put it on this corner, and I think that will be just fine. Now, this blanket is 100% polyester, so I could do sublimation on it, but I really don't want to, and also I just didn't want to. So now what we'll do is we're gonna take our design, and what's cool about doing a blanket is you can do it any way you want. You can do it on the corner so that it sits like a corner. It depends on kind of what you want it to look like. You could also do it straight with the edges. It's truly up to you. Do it how you want to do it. I think for me, I want it on the corner, and I want it to go like angled to the corner, because when I like hang it on the couch or like put it on the couch, which I won't be doing because I have black pets, that way it'll sit really cute. So I think that's pretty good. I think that looks all right. I can actually see that I missed a spot to weed. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out. We're also not gonna talk about how I misweeded this in several places. So we're just not gonna talk about that. I messed up, and that's okay. Nobody's perfect. I had to replace the eyeball, and I had to replace one of the ribs, but you can see once it's pressed, you're never going to be able to tell. So I'm going to press this at 320 degrees for about 15 to 20 seconds, but because we're layering, I'm going to press our first layer for probably like 5-10 seconds, and then I'll press our second layer. Now remember, we need to cut some of these stars off, because remember, I had them and I accidentally put them in the wrong spot. I accidentally took them off. So I'm going to cut those 2 stars off. off. And what you're gonna do, like, you can just double check where everything's gonna fit, because remember that S fits within this little edge, and then that'll be how it's gonna look on our blanket. So I'm gonna take it over to the press. We're gonna get ready to press it, and we'll have a really fun blanket when we're done. We're ready to press our design. Super easy. You're just gonna go ahead and press this. Now I do use like a medium to firm pressure with this. And like I said, for this first layer, I do only press it for a few seconds, like 10, 20 is a little too high because it can shrink. And then this one is a cool peel. Now, being that this is a cool peel, we do need to allow it to cool down, but one quick little trick is you can take the cool parts of the blanket and just kind of press it over it, and that'll help cool it down a little bit quicker if you don't want to wait forever. You can also take it off the press, which can help cool it down faster, but honestly, as long as it's pretty cool to the touch, like right now, it's still a little bit warm, I'm going to give it just another moment. And actually, I noticed that this part wasn't under the pressing pillow, so I'm going to go ahead and just scooch this, and I think I'm going to press this just for another second or two, because I just noticed that that little edge of the book wasn't on our pressing pillow. So I'm going to give it just another quick little press just to allow this, and then I'll let it cool again, and then we'll peel it up and we can put the pink part on next. All right, we're ready to peel this because I let it sit for a moment, and you're going to peel slowly because, again, this being a really fuzzy blanket as well, it's going to stick to the carrier sheet, so it is going to pull it up a little bit, but I'm just going to take my time and really slowly kind of work my way. And that's why we're using a thicker HTV product for this, because it's going to really help with all of this pile for our blanket.
You only get so many trips around the sun.
We're ready to add the pink, and so I'm just going to line this up onto my blanket where it's going to sit, and I'm pretty happy with that. And then I want to make sure I get my stars where they go, and then I just make sure everything's on the pressing pillow since I didn't last time. We're good. Now this one's going to get the full press of the 20 seconds. Once it's done, peel that up. Now again, cold peel or warm, cool peel. So I'm going to let this cool, peel it, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like now that it's all finished. Now, if you've never felt StripFlock Pro before, the best way I can describe it is just like a soft, fuzzy top to it. It's really cozy on a blanket because you don't feel that like hardness of a typical HTV. So this is a great option for blankets or pillows or towels, anything that's got like a bit of a higher pile. Because it's a thicker product as well, it holds its shape and you won't see any of the pile of the blanket or the towel or whatever the heck you're putting it on through the HTV like you would with just like a plain standard HTV. Puff HTV really isn't a great option for these as well because it will show that texture through it. But this is such an easy product to work with. I really, really like it. Plus, it's just fun. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure you're subscribed here, that way you don't miss out on any of the fun crafty content we have coming. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video, and as always, happy crafting!